Welcome, folks, and to the SDSU podcast signing day special. Um, I'm joined as always by Paul Garrison. What's going on, Paul?
What's going on, Andre? How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. A pretty exciting day for the Aztecs. It was first day of early signing day. It's a 3-day period, but it looks like almost majority of the class signed today. They had 26 players signed today. 15 of those were from the high school ranks, class of 24 guys, and then 11 were transfers, either the JUCO route or FCS route. For this episode, we definitely want to, keep the focus on the 15 high school guys. We're gonna have 4 of them on at some point during this episode. We're gonna have a cornerbacks coach, Demetrius Sumler, on to talk about some of the class and how the recruiting has gone with the new staff. But just starting it off, what would you make of the 15 guys as an overall class that San Diego State signed today?
I think it's a very exciting class. I mean, whenever you change coaches and you only got 3 weeks, I mean, I think my initial thought, 3 weeks from the time he was hired and announced to early signing day, my thought was going to be that the majority of the class would be February, and that the early signing day would just be like, this is who we are. You keep some of the other guys, you get maybe a few guys that they already had kind of locked into Colorado or wherever all the other coaches were. But to be able to get 15 and to get 15 like this so far, right? I think there's still a chance for some more. I think it's pretty exciting. I mean, if you were to look at, if we were talking about Brady Hoax and his staff, and we were saying this is who they had with an entire year to be able to get a class, we would say they did a good job. And the fact that Sean Lewis is able to kind of match and maybe even get a little bit better than what maybe would have seen from under Hoke, I think is pretty amazing to do in only 3 weeks. What about you?
Yeah, I was skeptical to see how. I think they had 11 high school commits at the time of he was hired, and 9 of those 11 ended up signing today. And I think I would have probably put that at below 50% when on the day he was hired. But he spoke today at the press conference about building that relationship and making sure those guys were a fit, personally and football wise. And so I was surprised pleasantly to see that 9 of those 11 signed, and obviously they added 6 more, including Danny O'Neill, which that was a Sean Lewis special. They're not getting Danny O'Neill unless Sean Lewis is the head coach at San Diego State. Doesn't mean another new head coach couldn't have brought in another quarterback, but it probably wouldn't have been Danny O'Neill. It definitely wouldn't have been Danny O'Neill. And so I like what they've done skill position wise. Like wide receivers and tight ends are pretty talented. They're tall, which is not something where we've been used to. Tyrell Shavers was 6'6", but otherwise, they haven't had, their best receivers have not been very tall. And so I think they've got a lot of options there to do that. And so, yeah, we're excited to see how they do. And obviously they'll get, some of them will be early enrollees and they'll join in spring camp, and some of them will come in the summer for fall camp.
Absolutely. I think everything you said is right. I think, we're going to have hopefully Danny O'Neill coming on here in about 10 minutes. But it's pretty exciting to think that, with the buzz that Colorado has generated, the idea that Danny O'Neill was the guy that Sean Lewis picked, and you got to assume he could have gotten into any living room in the country, but that was his guy, even at Colorado. And that not only that national recruit that Danny O'Neill was able to be at Colorado, well, now he's here at San Diego State. And so I think, again, it's a really great job. I think that I've been impressed with how kind of across the board, how excited everybody is for Sean Lewis and the hire that he had. You look at Aztec Nation and you see, usually a pretty divided idea on any topic But when it comes to Sean Lewis, especially with the momentum that he's built from this recruiting class, it's really solid. And as this would be after winning the press conference on his introduction, and now here, this is kind of the second kind of marquee thing that he's done. I think that it's a good day to be an Aztec.
One guy who has not committed yet is Jordan Anderson, a former Oregon commit wide receiver. It looks like it's down to San Diego State and Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jordan Anderson told 24/7 Sports that he's going to take his time this week up, and he's got till Friday to sign. So he's going to make that decision. But I think the odds are good. And he took a visit. He spoke glowingly about the staff. And anytime you're down to two schools and you're one of them, you have to feel good about having that opportunity to land them. There's a connection with some of the other guys that have committed. Jason Mitchell. I think they're friends, or at least they know each other through the high school ranks. So I think the odds are good, but we'll see. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, everything I've heard is that there's a good chance that he'll be wearing the red and black, but it's not done till it's done. And obviously, if he had committed today and signed and all those kinds of things, that would make it a lot more to be able to talk about this evening. But from everything I heard, there's a good chance that Jordan Anderson will be an Aztec. But I haven't talked to him personally, so it's just kind of the same thing Andre just said about being in the finalist. And obviously, if you're a finalist, you obviously really like the school that you're a finalist for.
Yeah, you were on John and Jim earlier today, and I think they asked you, which guy in this class you liked, and you mentioned the two modern day class guys, Anthony McMillan and Isaiah Buxton. The guys that I'm really intrigued by are the wide receivers. Cianfrini and Scolari, the height, the speed, the athleticism, gives San Diego State something that they haven't had in a while. I know they're young, and we always talk about playing as a true freshman, but the farther away you are from the ball, the better chance you have to be able to play. And these guys are coming in with the size and the speed to be able to compete. And I think I'm intrigued by their not just those two high school guys, but some of the transfers that they're bringing in wide receiver wise that are also tall.
Yeah, and that's been
here.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say we have a question here or a comment. Josh Glanz is the guy I really hope we can get. Yeah, he's in definitely in the mix. He's probably not going to sign this week. He's going to be more of a February signing. But I think San Diego State as a hometown school has a good shot there. But I think that's still yet to play out, and I think that'll play out. That'll go through February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think Robbie is seeing what we're all seeing. You don't see very many guys that big. Number one, that big, but well proportioned, right? You normally see, if you see some big guys, like I was just in Texas watching the Texas State Championship, and they had some big kids there, but they got big bellies and they look out of shape. Whereas Josh does not look that way. And then, you watch him on some of his tape and you watch him pull and you're like, oh man, that guy moves kind of like a tight end. And so you could see why, he's a very, very coveted person. And, see if the Aztecs can build that relationship. Sometimes those things are hard when, when the Aztecs have a new staff and then he was also committed to UCLA for as long as he was, he's, obviously starting over kind of in that new process. And so if the Aztecs can get in there and really figure out, what makes him tick and stuff like that. I agree with Andre, and they could have a shot at him for sure.
I know we wanted to keep the focus on the high school guys, but Ozzie Nicholas, he's a linebacker from Princeton, transfer. I believe he played at Encinitas, or he's from the North County. Unless I'm mixing up some of the linebackers, but I think he's got a good shot with him as well.
That's right.
Yeah. But I know the focus today was on the high school guys, and getting all those guys signed was a key emphasis for the staff. When we do have our guests coming on, if you have questions for them, put it in the chat. We do have a couple questions for them first, but we will get to your questions if time permitting. We've got a lot of guys lined up right back to back, so we have to keep them in 15-minute short bursts to keep this moving as efficiently as possible. But definitely, if you've got questions for Danny O'Neill, Isaiah Buxton, Cody Cornelius, Prince Williams, and then Coach Sumler as well, let us know or put it in the chat, and we'll try to get to your questions as we can.
So Andre, let me ask you this question as we're starting there, man. I really liked a response that Coach Lewis gave to something that you asked today. You had asked about how impressive it was that the returning players who all were there, who all committed and were part of Coach Hoke's team, how they've bought in and have become people who were selling the program to some of these transfers and some of these things. And so you asked him about that, saying essentially, how impressive is that, considering they may not know where their place is on the roster? And what was his response?
Yeah, I said maybe they're unsure of their standing. Yeah. And before he answered how good of a job they did, he said, nobody on this team should be unsure of their standing, because the first 3 days on the job, I went and I talked to every player for 3 days and made sure to let them know that I'm here because of you, not you're here because of me. And if you're on this team, we want you to be here, and we have a role for you. And assuming that they talked about that role, I think that was a great answer, because it's hard to. I personally was thought, if you're a guy that's here and then it's a new coaching staff that doesn't know you, didn't recruit you, and then you're being asked to go recruit and be the host of a guy that plays your same position, who could come in and basically replace you or take your spot. That's a difficult aspect to be in from a human perspective, at least. And to see some of these guys, to talk to some of these guys who were on their visits and say, who their hosts were and what a great job they did, I thought was impressive. But I agree. I think, Coach Lewis kind of set me right with his response about, there's nobody on here that should be unsure of their standing, for sure.
Yeah. And as we talk about, this is day 21 of the Sean Lewis era. And you think that how important, and I like how you call it, talent acquisition is, right? And all the different places where you can get talent acquisition. But he said, we're starting in-house. And if he doesn't leave the building and spends his first 3 days, that's 1/7 of his time that he's been the Aztecs head coach, that he's spent talking with the guys on staff, and then obviously on the roster. That's a lot of time. And when I met him, that was my first question to him was, are you guys going Colorado? Because you came from Colorado, so you know what it's like to basically say, here's your Louis Vuitton, you're done. Is that where you're going? Because you're from the Deion Sanders tree. And he distanced himself from it, and he said, no, that's not who we are. And I think he backed it up by setting you straight with what I thought was a really good question.
I think we may have Danny here. Let him get set up before we add him. But I agree. I think that's definitely an important part of this.
There it is. What's up, Danny?
Can you hear us, Danny? Hey, Danny, can you hear us?
Got his mic muted.
You got me?
There we go. There you are. Yeah. What's going on?
How are you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good. I think everybody in the chat, if you guys want to welcome Danny to San Diego State, and this would be a good time to do that, or to start forming some of your questions. But Danny, you've been obviously preparing for this day for a long time, and it's finally here, man. So how does it feel for you to be at early signing day and finally getting to do this?
Yeah, definitely. Just another stepping stone in the journey. Just really excited to get out there and 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however how long it is now, and just get to work. That's really mainly looking forward. Today was great, but gonna fun being out there.
Take it 3 weeks ago when Sean Lewis, the announcement was made that he was leaving Colorado to be the head coach at San Diego State. What did you know about San Diego State, and what did you know about the city of San Diego in general? To now 3 weeks later, you're going to be basically going to college and playing in San Diego.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know much about the university. I knew it, had a good history, of being successful. Obviously, last year was a little down here, but the program, 10, 15 years, and just to come out here and be a part of it, it's beautiful out there. Just to go out there and work every day, in Snapdragon Stadium. It's just gonna be a blessing to just get to work, like I said.
Danny, the last time that we spoke, you hadn't quite made your decision. A couple days later, you made the announcement. I guess what happened in those couple of days that made you know that San Diego State was actually the place and you made that commitment?
Yeah, into the visit, I knew that Lou was going to coach Lou, and I knew we had was really great. But then going out there, getting to meet Coach Johnson, and just connecting with him, and me and him connected even faster than me and Coach Lou did during the recruiting process. It was very, very similar. So that was another plus. And then just seeing the rest of the university and really being able to see myself out there. It was just something that was important to me and important to my family. And we wanted to make sure that we came home and, really thought it over and made sure it was the right decision. And, obviously the people is what's most important. So just being out there with good people and, good coaches too. And, just can't beat it.
Danny, we have a question here from a listener or watcher, Mike Cervini. He said, "Did you recruit any of the new players?" I'm assuming he's talking about any of once you made your decision. Were you talking to any other people that were undecided to kind of sway them into becoming Aztecs?
Absolutely, I was talking to Ben a little bit, the receiver. There's 2 or 3 running backs that we were talking to, just trying to get an extra body room, and we actually ended up getting a commit today. That's another huge get for us, and we feel really confident about people we're bringing in. We know high character people, and that they're just really just trying to find good fits for offense. On top of what's already in the locker room. So just being able to add on to that, get some depth, and get some young and really grow like myself, one of the offense, one of the top in the country.
There's another question here. It's a food related question. When you were in San Diego for a visit, were you able to get some Mexican food?
Yeah, we ate some Mexican food almost every night on the visit, and it was really good. We had some stuff catered into the facility there. We went out the first night to Old Town, so just being able to go see all the different places and really just move around the city a little bit. The campus is really convenient, just being basically 20 minutes from everything that you need to go see in San Diego. So definitely nice location.
You're coming in. AJ Duffy is coming in. There's 4 returning quarterbacks that are on the roster. Also, there's going to be 6 quarterbacks at the moment. All of you are learning a new offense for the first time. What do you think? How do you think that competition is going to play out with you guys? All learning the new system. All of you pretty much in the same spot, not very experienced. I think the guy who's thrown the most passes in college football is Kyle Crum with 17. How do you think this competition is going to play out in spring ball?
I'm not sure how it's going to play out or what the outcome is going to be. I just know that I'm ready to work every single day and push those guys just the same way that they're going to push me. And, competition brings out the best in athletes. So, we're either going to build each other up or some of us are going to, crumble a little bit. But, my goal and my, hope is that, we all build each other up and we all grow from competition. And like you said, all of us are kind of in the same spot. We're all going to be learning all 6 of us. So able to go out there and help each other out from be a huge part of, the quarterback room. We actually made our quarterback group chat earlier today, and we were just chopping it up a little bit in there. So, a lot of great dudes, and, I'm just excited to get to work with them and meeting them, in a few weeks.
And how I guess, you obviously have a great relationship with Sean Lewis. You already talked about Coach Johnson, but, Kyle Crum was your host on your visit. And how welcoming was he in getting you to have the idea of like, these are going to be the guys that I'm going to be spending the most time with over the next few years?
Very welcoming. I can't say enough about Kyle and how he treated me and the rest of the recruits that were there that weekend. Him and his roommate Logan. We spent a lot of time together and played a few games of NCAA 14 and just kind of hung out and met with other guys on the team, and everyone was the same way, super welcoming and he just trying to. Because at that point I wasn't committed, so at that point they were trying to push me to come and, be an Aztec. So it was just great to see, all the team, kind of rally around recruiting the guys and getting all those recruits committed.
Did you ever play Coach Lewis in Madden? Because apparently that was a big recruiting thing that he was doing back in the day.
I've not played him in Madden. I would love to play him, but has not happened yet.
We got a question here from Robert. He says, what was your experience being part of the Elite 11 quarterback program?
Yeah, it was a great experience going out there. It's something that I had dreamed about, as a kid. Growing up, you see on YouTube and you see, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and all these guys out there throwing together and, it doesn't, a lot of fire in you. I don't know what does. I remember seeing that I was younger and, one day I wanted to be like that, be one of those guys. And a little bit of adversity going into it, got a little bit sick before it. But, I wasn't going to go out there and compete as I could. Say I was out there, but being out there, being with the guy, making 19 really good friends. All us talk to the day in our group chat. So just being able to meet them and grow close with them has been a blessing, and it's definitely a fun week out in LA.
And then last question before we let you go. I know you're on the East Coast, or at least Eastern time zone, so it's a little later for you. But what Robbie asks, what drew Coach Lewis to you while he was first recruiting you?
I would just say kind of the outside stuff. It wasn't just X's and O's with Coach Lou. We connect a lot on things not football related. He grew up as a south side of Chicago, Catholic school kid. It's kind of similar to me, north side of Indianapolis, just, growing up with, similar backgrounds, similar family life, all that. So, and just, I definitely feel like I can learn a lot from him. Obviously through the game, but I want to learn as much, outside of the game and how to carry myself. He is. So there have been a lot of things that drew me to him, and he's just a class act at the end of the day.
Danny, we appreciate you taking the time. I know Aztec Nation is thrilled to have you. We look forward to seeing you out on campus, I believe, in January, and we'll see how things play out.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Have a good night. All right. I know we had some technical difficulties with him a little bit, but I think we could understand or make out most of what he said. Obviously, he's the most exciting name when it comes to this class because of being a quarterback, right? We've got Coach Sumler on. Let's bring him in. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Quite a day, huh?
Yeah, it's been a busy one, but we got some ballers in here on the Mesa, so we feel like it was a successful day for us.
Yeah, just take us through, what your thoughts are on what you're able to do, with mostly a brand new staff with what you accomplished today.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a big deal. As soon as Coach Lou came in, that was the first thing he wanted to start working on was recruiting. And so, we started with the guys that were already committed. And, he reached out to those guys, got to know them a little bit. They came on a visit first. Then really this whole last week, we were having visits almost every day, guys in and out of here and, really trying to shore up the class and build relationships, pretty fast. So it took a lot of work. It took a lot, all hands on deck. It was a lot of people that had a big part in that. And we were just happy to see how it ended today.
Coach, we've got a lot of opportunities to talk to different coaches, different recruits, and your name comes up all the time, man, as somebody who really is great at making those connections. What is the secret to being a great recruiter?
I don't think it's much of a secret. I think it's just being genuine and being honest about the process and your expectations and what they should expect. Because I just think people can sense if you're not being genuine or not. So I think you just got to be genuine. You got to be straightforward. Really explain all that San Diego and San Diego State has to offer. Get them, and if that matches what their goals are, then it's a good fit. So it's really just building relationships with people and being myself.
We the defense was a 3-3-5, so there was 5 DBs on the field. Moving to a 4-2-5, there's still 5 DBs on the field. But will there be a position like an Aztec still, or will that 5th guy be more of a true nickel?
It's probably a little bit of a combination of both, depending on who we're playing. I've been able to spend a little bit of time with Coach Schmidt. We haven't gone too in detail about exactly the X's and O's. He's getting ready for a playoff game, but in the brief time we have spoken and kind of what he explained to me, there is still room for an Aztec to be on the field. So we'll have something similar to that.
Very good.
We've got a question here.
Coach Sumler, can you talk about the dramatic increase of the SDSU staff on social media since Coach Lou came on board? Pretty noticeable.
Yeah, that's funny. I haven't even really thought about that. Obviously, just some couple younger guys on staff that that's a little more of their realm. And obviously, Coach Lou is big on social media also, which is probably different than our last 2 coaches who were kind of old school guys and they didn't really grow up in that era. So right, wrong, or indifferent, that really wasn't their style. So yeah, I guess there is a little bit more of a presence, but I just think it's the difference in the personalities and just the guys that are here now.
What do you think about the cars on the field and the photo shoot? Does that resonate with players, and that's something that helps get the message across?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in a time like this where, recruiting is crazy and the transfer portal is crazy, you got to do something that the kids are going to remember, something that they're going to relate to. And so, the pictures and the cars and that kind of stuff, right? That's their world, right? That's their Instagram, their Twitter. That's kind of where they spend a lot of their time. So opportunity for a good picture is something that's really important to them. When I came up, you couldn't even take a picture in the uniform till you were on the team when I was coming up. But that's just the new reality of what college football is. And so, you got to adapt and evolve to what, this next group of players are into.
Love to talk to you about some of those players that young guys, that freshmen, high school guys who have come through there, made their commitments today, and just ask if you could talk about them, starting with somebody who will be on here a little bit later, Isaiah Buxton.
Yeah, Isaiah, a hometown hero, man. I've seen Isaiah since or we've seen Isaiah since he was a freshman, sophomore at Mater Dei. Had a ton of talent. We were kind of on him early in the recruiting process. Hell of a player on both sides of the ball, which is important for us at DB. Guys that can go play wide out and got good ball, can track the ball well, and he comes up, he tackles, he does everything you need a DB to do. And obviously, he was heavily recruited, so to keep a talent like that home is a big deal for us.
What about Tayton Bayer?
Yeah, really excited about Tayton. I saw him in the spring, saw him live, and just to see his short area quickness. He hasn't been playing corner very long. He grew up playing running back and wide receiver, and really just converted to defensive back a couple years ago. So just how smooth and how well he plays the position, having only played it a couple years, just shows there's still a lot of room for growth with him. Has a high football IQ. His father is a coach, also great family. So he's a kid I'm also very excited about to see, what he grows and develops into.
Is his confidence infectious? That is one confident kid.
Absolutely. And playing DB, you got to be confident, right? That's the toughest position to play out there. I tell guys all the time, when we get beat, when we're wrong, everybody knows it, right? They zoom the camera in your face, so everybody knows that you gave up a touchdown. So you got to have the ultimate confidence. You got to have thick skin. You got to understand, bad stuff's going to happen, but you got to bounce back like it never happened.
How about Prince Williams?
Yeah, really excited about Prince, man. A versatile player. He's tall. He's 6'1 plus. Long arms. He ran track. I think he could play probably all 5 positions in the secondary. So he gives a lot of flexibility in what he can do. He'll come up and tackle, extremely physical. And has fluid hips and all that good stuff. So really excited about Prince. Another high IQ kid. Brother plays Division I football also. I think dad played at LSU. So has great genetics and, great football pedigree. And we're definitely excited about Prince.
Last one for me, Jason Mitchell.
Yeah, Jay Mitch. Jay Mitch was a big time recruit. We're excited to have Jay Mitch, join the Aztecs. We offered him kind of early in the process, and I've always kind of stayed in contact with him. When the guy had the different opportunities he had, for him to decide to stay close to home, come to the Aztecs and trust us that we can develop him and help him reach his goals of graduating college and playing at the next level. It was just awesome to see that. And he had a lot of influence on some other guys because he's such a high profile player. So, we're definitely fired up to have Jay Mitch.
Going into last season, you had 5 starting caliber corners, right? Up until today, you only had 1 of them left through transfers. Noah Tumblin, obviously declared for the draft. First, we would love to get you to talk about Noah and like what his progression was from being a quarterback in high school to a corner, but like just replenishing the cornerback stock through what you did today and how confident you feel at that position moving forward.
Yeah, so starting with Noah, extremely proud of what Noah has been able to do. Coming from, playing quarterback. He had never really played defense in his life. He didn't know how to backpedal when he got here. So it took him a while just to figure that part of it out, and just to watch him develop and continue to get better every year. And then have the year he had last year was huge. He was a big time basketball player. So that's kind of what we saw, even though he was playing quarterback. You watch him play basketball and you see the change of direction and the short area quickness. And you see a lot of those things that he did on the basketball court, which made us feel like, hey, he could probably come play some DB. But he bought in, he had to put some weight on over time and finally learned what we were trying to get coached up and what we were trying to do. And he thrived in that role. So excited to see what the future holds for him. He's got a ton of upside, very similar to Tate. He's only been playing DB 3-4 years. So I think he'll still continue to get better at the next level. So excited to see where Noah Tumlin goes. And as far as the room, you hit the nail on the head, man. We had, 5 guys that were starting caliber corners. But the new reality of college football now, right, is the transfer portal, and it is what it is. Obviously don't want any of those guys to leave. But if they felt like that's what's best for them, I'm always going to be supportive of them, because who they are as people is way more important than who they are as football players. So I still got good relationships with those guys, but as they leave, you got to replace those guys with new guys that have some experience. So we had a lot of work to do in our room as far as getting some experience. You can't replace that with high school guys. So we had to get dialed in on the transfer portal and recruited some guys that had some experience, have played at a high level, and we think their skill set really fits what we're trying to do moving forward. So we're excited about those new guys, and can't wait to watch the guys that left us to see what they do at their next destination.
A lot of great questions here for you, Coach. Eric G asked, nothing but love for Hoke, but how have the current players taken to the new staff?
Yeah, it's all been positive so far. Obviously, a lot of their interactions have been very minimal, kind of one-on-one conversations with new position coaches. We have spent some time with them, like our guys that were hosting on official visits. That was a good time where some of the new coaches kind of get to know some of those guys also. But everything's been positive so far. Obviously, when they get back and we get back after the new year and, they start working out, we start meeting with them more, really those relationships. And we got to build trust with those guys. And we just got to continue to build those relationships so they trust us, we trust them, and get this thing going in the right direction.
I like this one a whole bunch. Get a true expert on it. No, this is great. You can see it. So what do you think about KZ's tackle and I guess losing the rest of his season over it?
Yeah, it's I'm not a fan of how they suspended him for the rest of the season. I'm biased, right? I coach DBs. Even though I played running back in the day, but that stuff is happening so fast that a lot of times guys don't have the ability to control those high impact collisions, because it's actually happening so fast, right? So I don't think a guy's intention is ever to hurt somebody. I think quarterbacks should take a little responsibility for throwing terrible passes at times. Like Tom Brady said, where you're punishing defensive players for mistakes by the quarterback, right? Don't leave that ball out there to get your guy hurt like that. So, it's unfortunate. I understand that, you want to play the game safer, and I understand the safety initiative that the NFL and NCAA is implementing, right? I understand that we want a safer game, but it's really handicapping defensive players, when you can't be physical, right? That's our advantage, is to try to be physical. So you're really handicapping defense when those type of rules keep coming about.
You mentioned playing running back. You played running back at Colorado. Coach Lewis spent 1 year at Colorado, but Darian Hagan, the new running back coach, I believe was your running back coach at Colorado. Is that right?
Yeah. Coach Hayes was my coach. He recruited me. So it's funny how life comes full circle like that. He went from being my coach to now we're coaching together. So it's a very cool experience. He's from California, but spent, ever since he went to college, he's been in Colorado that entire time. So he's back here now, and I'm teaching him how we do things here at San Diego State, and it's just it's really a full circle moment, right? Me coming in as a freshman and him showing me the ropes when I was 18 years old, and now fast forward, I'm kind of showing him the ropes here at San Diego State. And obviously, he's coached for a long time, so he knows how to coach and he knows how to recruit and those types of things. But just things that may be unique to San Diego State that I'm catching him up on.
Has he changed at all?
No, same guy.
Wow.
Same guy. That's why you love him. Same guy is now, same guy he was as a coach. And I love him for that. Yeah.
That's incredible.
We got to meet him just briefly today after the press conference, but we definitely would love to have him on an episode to get to know him a little bit more, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got an infectious personality, fun guy to talk to, for sure.
Fernando Ariano, he asked Coach Sumler, of the returning players, who are you expecting to take the biggest step forward?
I'm looking to speak for the defensive backs. I'm looking for Chris Johnson to take a big step forward. He got his feet wet last season, and played some meaningful snaps, and saw him get better throughout the year. And really the only guy returning that's played a lot of significant snaps for us. So and he approaches the game the right way. So I'm expecting him to take a major step next year. Another guy, Eric Butler, is a guy that's also kind of same boat that we've kind of sprinkled in defensively the last couple years, but he's got a ton of ability. He showed some good things, some good flashes of some good things. So he's a guy that I'm also looking forward to taking a big step next season also.
You talked earlier about, guys leaving for the transfer portal and doing that. Obviously Dallas Branch, he made that decision for himself, is going to be at Kent State, get another year of education paid for, a lot of great positives for him. But that really opened the door for Chris Johnson to be able to get a lot more snaps. He was splitting time with Dallas before that. Is that, how do you feel like Chris sees that opportunity to get those extra snaps when kind of some of the numbers started to thin?
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. And, Chris is a great kid with a great attitude. He approaches the game the right way. And, even early in the season where, he probably felt or wanted to play more and he wasn't, his attitude never changed. He came to work. He came and practiced every day as hard as he could. He prepared like he was the starter. And that way, when he got his opportunities, he was prepared and he made the most of them. And, obviously he just kept earning more and more opportunities to play. And he kept producing with that. So, love the way he handled that. That's a part of the game, part of the juggling game, we got to do as a coach also, where, you got to put your best players on the field, but you got to also get guys ready, right, in case of injury or whatever may happen. Guys transfer, and you got guys that have never, really experienced it. So that's our job as coaches, just to make sure we're developing the entire room. So when those kind of situations arise, you got guys that got a next man up mentality.
Last question before we let you get out of here. I know we talked mostly about the high school guys, but you got a couple transfer corners as well. Bryce Phillips and Zach Morris from New Mexico. What can you say about those two guys?
Yeah, Bryce Phillips, big time talent. I actually recruited him a little bit out of high school also. We also looked at his brother, who was a really big time player playing in the NFL now. And so we've me and him and his father have had a relationship for several years now. But a very physical kid, also approaches, with an older brother that he watched, go through college and go to the NFL. He got a clear, blueprint of how to do it. So he's all ball. He knows how to prepare. He's a film junkie. He just has all those things that will, lead up to him being a big time player. Obviously he's talented and gifted, but he has the right mental makeup also. And then you talk about Zach, he's played in the Mountain West for 2 years, started a couple games as a true freshman, started all last season, played well. And so that's invaluable to have a guy that's played that many Mountain West snaps and played at a high level. And he's going from year 2 to year 3, where you also see a big jump in a lot of production also. So very excited to have those guys join the room, to bring some experience to the room, but just also have the right mentality that's going to fit in with the room. Humble guys, team guys that understand they're coming in to compete with the rest of these guys, but understand what we're trying to build here at San Diego State is about, family and high character and things like that also. So we were fired up about both of those guys.
I think that's a perfect segue to our next guest coming in, because I heard humble, I heard team guy. That's Isaiah Buxton. Coach, thank you for for your time. Isaiah, welcome.
How you doing?
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
What's going on, Isaiah?
I'm good. Finally happy to be on the show.
Yeah, man. I for people who are listening to this, I tried to hit up Isaiah a few times to come on, and it just wasn't the right time. And so this is on signing day, man. It's the perfect day to be able to finally do this. And I do need to say that I went on the radio this afternoon and they said, "Who are you most excited about?" And I said Isaiah Buxton and Anthony McMillan, man. So it's pretty amazing that you ended up at San Diego State and that you're here. But how do you feel, man? You've been waiting to do this for so long, and here you are on signing day. And you're going to stay home.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long process, a lot of ups and downs, but I mean, just finally see the final product, to see that I be saying a lot, everything happens for a reason, and I feel like this is probably the best fit for me. going into having a San Diego team, my home team around me, support system around me, and then the coach that's good at what he does. And I would go in there to compete.
This class is filled with a lot of guys in the secondary, a lot of talent. What have you seen from some of your newest fellow teammates that you've liked and are hoping to kind of learn from as you get into campus and start practice?
They've come from a lot of high caliber programs from high school, so that's really good, and they win. So I'm just ready to compete and learn techniques from them and from other people, just so I can add tools to my bag and just I'll be ready to go in January.
So we
Mike
got a comment.
says,
Go ahead.
good.
No,
Isaiah, we're very excited.
You just said we're very excited that you're an Aztec.
Yep, me too.
So here's a great line, man, that I really liked from you. You said the 45 is the same at San Diego State as it is at anywhere else. Could you tell us about that mindset about being able to put in the work and what that means to you?
I mean, because the league can find me anywhere. That's my end goal, is to be in the NFL. So if I know I can have a chance to do that, why not put San Diego on the map while doing it? So it's just nothing changes. All about the person and the team that you're with and be able to compete on the field. So same weight was the same in Alabama versus Clemson, all that. Just what you do with the weight.
Got another question for you. Who hosted you and on your visit?
It was Trey White and then the other DB Cam. So it was really nice. He couldn't just tell me so much because it was a new thing for him too, because it's a new coaching staff for him. But he just told me like, hey man, if you just come in and work and do what you got to do, then you'll be good. That's really all it is. But it was really new for him too, so he couldn't really tell me too much.
Now, was that a good job by the staff getting someone from Eastlake to be your host, or
Yeah, it just made me feel more comfortable at home. So I know him. I know the other people, some other people too, though. So it just made me feel more comfortable and be able to be more open and actually have a conversation with him and talk instead of just sitting there quietly and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Got a good question from Robbie Casillas. Oh, says no, we're fighting over who's going to put the question up. SDSU has a lot of success the past 10 years putting DBs in the league. How much of a role did that play in your decision to stay home?
It was good. It was really important because I know during this process when I decommitted from Arizona, I would talk to my brother a lot. He attends Syracuse University, and he would just tell me, just make sure you pick a school that has a good DB coach. The other coaches matter, but the most importantly is your DB coach, because that's who you're going to be around a lot. And he has talent. He's put talent in the league. He's been to Coach V and his Atlanta Falcons DB and other DBs like that. He showed us in person. So it's just really glad that I have a chance and I have had a good relationship with him. He's not someone new, and I actually have trust in him.
You get to continue
Coach
playing.
Sumler. Go ahead, Andre.
You get to
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay. I like Coach Sumner, his technique. He's really open. He has 3 really techniques that we use, but he just tells us at the same time, whatever you feel more comfortable with, you do that, because everybody's bodies are different and stuff. So, and he's a chill person. You can talk to him really about anything. He's not really so strict, not all about ball. He actually cares about you as a person and really see how you succeed on and off the field.
Your high school teammate Anthony McMillan, we've had on the podcast. What is it going to be like getting to play with him again, continuing to play with him at the next level, and the bond that you've formed with him, over the years?
I mean, it felt really comfortable. Once I decommitted from Arizona, he's really been on me about San Diego staying. I was just like, we'll see. And we'll get into it. But he showed me around, talked to me a little bit on the visit too, and then it's really a blessing because I've been known for a long time. I actually finished the journey with him, and hopefully we both go to the league one day. But I'm really glad we can share this memory together.
We also had Coach Joyner, modern day head coach, on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and the way he described you is he described you as being very serious about being great at football. Where does that come from for you?
I think my parents, they're both military parents, so it's just really my dad make sure I have A's and B's in school, respect my elders, stuff like that, and just not going off my own path and just really having loyalty, but also just working hard. I think comes easy, especially with football. Whatever you put in, that's what you're going to get out. So if you just go ahead and just do the basics and just do what you got to do. And then it's not really going to do anything. You actually got to have one. You got to love the process and what you're doing to get what you want.
Now you moved from cornerback to safety this year. What do you think that excelling at both positions kind of sets you up for your time at San Diego State?
I mean, it just probably showed because we had our team last year, 23 class was really heavy, so I probably couldn't show some of my abilities. But me at safety, I could show that I could tackle, I can come up and not scared to tackle, and just stuff like that, and show my range. But I'm just showing that I'm versatile. I can play really anywhere in the secondary.
I know you play wide receiver as well.
Yeah.
You know, there was probably a few minutes this morning where I think the Go Aztecs graphic that announced you said wide receiver. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of maybe I missed something and maybe you were going to play wide receiver. Did you see that?
Yeah, they like me on both sides of the ball, so I just said just stay athletic and just be ready to do what you ever do. But I can play whatever I come in, play corner, safety, or wide receiver. I'm just gonna go in and do what I have to do.
Yeah, I think they ended up deleting that and then updating it at corner. But for a few minutes, I was like, well, maybe he's playing wide receiver. We got a question here from Robert. It says, what is your plan for the offseason program to get ready to play next season?
I'm gonna be there in January 20th, so I have about really a month exactly to just get my body up, try to put some weight on, but also hit the weight room hard with Coach V. Hit the weight room hard with Coach V, 2 days, 3 days, stuff like that. Hit the field, start running my cardio because you only get one first impression, and that's really important to Coach Sumler and all them staff. So I really want to show a good first impression.
All right, so I've been wanting to ask you this for a couple of years now. Coach Braswell, who is my friend, you know, he I think he tells a story about, you know, just you as a little kid playing in with the Diablos and doing all of that. Tell me about Coach Braswell, man, and just like his part in this process for you.
Really, he really is the beginner that started all this for me because I played against him. I was playing against him, and then he talked to me after the game, and then he just said, "Hey, come play with us. Let me take you on the wrong wing." And my mom was like, okay, thinking about it. And then I just kept playing with him, and he brought me to Team Akasi because I wasn't even going to play for Team Akasi, but he showed Isaiah, just come on. I got this person, Coach V, and I played for Team Akasi. And after that, and then I just kept going up, meeting new people. So he really just showed me all the connections and just trusted me. He's probably the first person that actually believed in me and my talent and just showed me off to other people, and other people started seeing it too.
So am I hearing this right? That as a 10-year-old, you hit the transfer portal? Is that what that was?
Yeah. So, yeah.
We got a question here from it's Rick D. It says, Isaiah, how was your time at the Makasi Bowl? Were players trying to poach you, or did you try to pitch San Diego State to other players?
No, not really. We kind of knew at the time where everybody was going to go, but it was just really fun game, playing against other people, other committed players, and just show it was really like a college game because everybody there is going to play at the next level. So it's really just time to see who's really the best out of the best and just have fun and just compete at the same time. Though we're just not going to let it up. But everybody knew it was going to go, and I wasn't trying to pitch out SDSU to nobody.
Well, there is a question here that's kind of related to that.
Wow.
Your former teammate, Jerry McClure, went to UCLA, just entered the portal. Is there Robbie asks if there's any chance you're recruiting him, who's in the portal now?
I mean, Coach Lewis, he's a fast type offense. He throw the ball a lot. That's really the most important thing I feel like is for Jerry. But at the same time, I just told him to keep your head up. God got you no matter what. And just everything happens for a reason. He has a plan for you. And if you come home, I told him the same thing. You're good at what you do, so why not put San Diego State on the map too?
Now, did he reply with "we'll see"? Or was the shoe on the other foot?
He just said, he just said, "We'll see." I look at my options.
Absolutely.
Well, last question.
Now, I don't think that Steve A needs to tell us that he just signed in. You know what I mean? We started at 6, Steve. Like you didn't have to tell on yourself, man. You could have been here the entire time. But what were your impressions, Bucks, of the football facilities, Snapdragon Stadium? You know, what impressed you the most?
Just how everybody's like close together. It's not really all spread out. Everybody's going to be together. Everybody works out at the same facility, so it's just building bonds and connections. And what probably impressed me most was, I mean, I'm a big education person, so they have a good business program. I got a chance to talk to the educational person and then just showed me how my steps to do what I have to do for after football.
No, that's really interesting because in this day and age, where it seems like there's this like facility war, and all of the different groups are trying to be all spread out and kind of in their own thing. That's pretty refreshing, man, to hear that San Diego State that has kind of went the other way and said, no, you can be a student athlete that's part of the entire campus. That was a positive for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just build a bond because at the end of the day, we all have to support each other. And I feel like our first home game at SDSU will really be rocking.
Absolutely.
Isaiah, we appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on signing today. Graduating high school early and enrolling in January in college, because that's a tough thing to do, and definitely appreciate you taking the time and coming on and talking to us tonight.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I was worth the wait, right?
Yeah.
That was terrific.
We it's nice to talk to them, get some questions answered from the people listening. But I'd still love to get some of these guys back on for longer interviews for future episodes for sure. I wanted to ask you before Cody Cornelius hops on, what do you make about Sincere Rainey's flip from San Jose State to San Diego State today? Because that's not typically something you see San Diego State flip guys on signing day, or at least I can't remember that happening too often during the time I've been following San Diego State.
It happens, but I think it probably happens more the other way in times past. You mentioned that we got to meet the running back coach today after the press conference, that he was at the facility in the hall. They were giddy. It was happening for us in real time. It was the flip was happening in real time, and you could tell that they were ecstatic that they were able to pull that off. And so, I mean, I think what you make of it is, that's the name of the game. You want these kids to come in and know what your program is, and to be excited about it. But I think it's just, again, it's that momentum. Somebody asked at the press conference about social media. It was asked here with Coach Sumler. But I think those things play and those things matter to young players. And, the more momentum that San Diego State can get and build, I think especially as they're pointing towards February, who knows what's going to happen, right? Like when a team finishes their bowl, they got the players have 5 extra days to enter the transfer portal. Well, their defensive coordinator is still at Washington. And you would just, again, it's be a story to follow. Like, is there going to be Washington players who are going to be thinking about San Diego State because of their connection to the new defensive coordinator? And obviously, if you're at San Diego State and you are trying to install this new defense, you obviously would want more of that. So the more you can build the momentum, the more you can keep having one positive, really good thing happen in front of another, I think is just it builds. And so they're obviously building, and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger. And, obviously they need to figure out ways to keep that going. And as it goes through till, as the calendar flips to 2024. But I think at the end of the day, I think if you're a running back, as much as everyone talks about the wide receivers and the quarterback, and that's the change that everybody's going to be able to see, those running backs get an opportunity to get the ball in space. And I don't know what you would want for a running back other than that,
Yeah. He played at Gardena, Sarah, not the North County one, or not the NorCal one, but Jason Mitchell, the 4-star, played there up until this past season. So there's definitely a connection there. And I wonder, Jason Mitchell committing yesterday had something to do with flipping Rancy, because I think there's a connection there that probably played a part in it. We've got Cody Cornelius here.
How we doing?
Go. Dude,
Thank you
I'm
for
really
joining us.
excited. We've had all of these thin DBs and quarterbacks and stuff on, and when we need to get somebody with size in here, man. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. How's everybody doing?
We're doing
We're,
great. How
we're
does
great, man.
it
Having a good
feel?
time with us.
How does it feel to sign and officially become an Aztec today?
Man, kind of a dream come true, honestly. Been waiting for this moment for a long time. Been working towards it for a long time. So just felt like a relief off my shoulders, and just a very 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 fun day, very 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 waited upon day. So
So, I mean, tell me a
Why?
little bit more about that, if you could. We don't always get to kind of see behind the curtain. You talk about that this is a relief. It's you've been waiting for this day. When did this dream of being a D1 athlete start for you? Where you kind of were thinking about this day for so long.
I got you. So in all honesty, it started out as an eighth grader because my brother was getting prepared to go to University of Hawaii. So I started working out with him. This was during COVID too. So I didn't really have an excuse not to be working out, not to be getting prepped for high school. But the true dream of being a Division I athlete, being a football player, and having that as my future, that didn't really come into play until like end of my sophomore year, beginning of my junior year. It was I was really playing football because everybody was telling me to, freshman and sophomore year. It was just like I'm big, I'm good at what I do, and it keeps me healthy, keeps me in a friend group and whatnot. But end of sophomore year, I started falling in love with the game, started falling in love with the process, fell in love with the weight room. I mean, that's kind of like my whole personality now, and it skyrocketed for sure because it was everything I wanted at that point, and it's everything I've been wanting ever since. And that's just how I've looked at it. And junior year hit, and I was like, I'm going all in, everything I got, putting every second of my day into football, and it's starting to pay off. So yeah.
Andre, I don't know about you, but I found every excuse not to work out during COVID.
It was like almost the opposite effect.
I was gonna say I found plenty. It was not even an issue. Like, wow, the number of excuses that I could find. That's funny. So what has the new staff told you about? Maybe, I mean, because none of us really understand the 4-2-5 that they're playing and how that's going to be changing, or I should say we're starting to learn about it, research it ourselves. But what have they told you about, like, where they see your fit in the new defense?
In all honesty, they've really just told me about playing D tackle, being in a 3 or a 2I or a 1, and being either just being one of those guys that they can move around just because of the way I play, my play style. They that's what they love the most. Try to play as aggressive as possible, as fast as possible, and as strong as possible because I'm a little shorter for a defensive tackle. I'm 6'1", 6 foot, so got to be quick, got to be fast. So that's something that they've definitely expressed to me, that that physicality that I come into play with, and just how much stronger I got to be than everybody else. That's the kind of play style they're going to want in this forefront, just to take on double teams, split double teams, and just wreak havoc in the backfield. That's really the plan.
I think it sounds like a good plan.
We've got a question here from Robbie. What has the transition from Hoke's coaching staff to Coach Lewis meant for you as a recruit? And then what are your thoughts on the new defense from what you've heard so far?
Got you. So kind of the transition from coaching staff to coaching staff, it hasn't necessarily, it's affected me, but it hasn't really affected me just because we did keep the D-line coach. So I was able to still have that connection, still have that relationship that I had already built from the previous coaching staff. But my connection with Coach Lewis and the connection I've had with all the other add-ons from the coaching staff has been kind of like I've known all of them from the beginning. It definitely felt like a brotherhood. Definitely felt just like a family from the get-go. From the official visit to even now, with other coaches reaching out and kind of checking in on me, seeing how everything's going. It doesn't even feel like the coaching staff has changed because we already built kind of that connection from the moment I met everybody. So, and then the second question was my thoughts on the defense, right?
That's right.
In all honesty, I like it a little bit more instead of having that 3-man front with a walked up edge, because my play style in high school, it's the high school defense we ran is almost the same as the defense I'm going into. So it helps me out a little bit more because we're gonna be running, a lot of stunts. We're gonna be a fast-paced defense like we have been. We're gonna be dominant up front, and it's gonna be it's gonna be simple for me to transition. So I actually like that we're going into a 4-2-5. But that's all I really know about it. They've told me what my role is gonna be, what my play style is gonna need to be, and just keep working.
Now you talk about that the defensive line coach isn't changing. What can you tell us about Coach Bojay and why it was that you wanted to partner with him? And I thought one of my favorite lines that Coach Lewis had at his opening press conference is he said, "You're basically entrusting your football future to him." And so why would you want to entrust that to Coach Bojay?
In all honesty, it's because from the first moment I met him, first moment I talked to him, it was a deeper connection than coach to player relationship. It honestly felt like he was more of he was a father figure, not only a coach, because he truly does care about life after football. He always makes sure you're doing all right. He's checks in all the time, and the connection and kind of just the love that was already there just from meeting him from the beginning. It just it kind of clicked in a way. It made me feel like this was going to be home. Made everything, kind of the whole process, just a whole lot more simple, and just felt trustworthy. I never second guessed his intentions. I never second guessed what he was telling me, because I knew he was going to be brutally honest, and I knew that it was for the best, because that's what's needed in today's age. We see a lot of people sugarcoating nowadays, and when he was just honest with me, letting me know the situation that was going on, especially with the coaching change, I knew for sure that this was a coach I could trust with my future and my path, and that's what made the decision simple and easy.
Wow.
Who are some of your favorite defensive tackles that you watch, study, try to emulate?
I'll be honest, I really only watch one. I watch Aaron Donald the most, just because of how similar I am to him, just in the height and the weight categories. And I've looked at him as just trying to mimic his play style, trying to be just strong, aggressive, twitchy, explosive, all of the above. He has been one of the most dominant defensive tackles in the league for however long. So even before my junior and senior season, I watched more film on him than I did on people I was going against, because at the end of the day, I can control what I can control, and if I could learn from the best, I could potentially be the best. And that's been my main guy. That's been my guy. That's what I try and mimic, and that's what I'm trying to basically be, or be better. That's the end goal.
Good answer.
There's some royalty on here. One of the viewers. This is Don DeMars, and Cody. Don is the photographer for the East Village Times, and so he's out at practice, out at the games, all those kinds of things. But he is a phenomenal human being. But he wants to know, what are you looking forward to most about being an Aztec?
Man, that's a good question. I haven't even really thought about that. What am I looking forward to most being an Aztec? Honestly, man, that's a good question. Shoot.
Yeah, I think Andre, he's coming for our job, man. He's gonna be the guy. We're usually the guy asking the questions, and Don's the guy taking the photos. You know what I mean? And
yep.
Looks like, man. Okay, I see. He actually, believe it or not, Don let me borrow a camera so I could take better photos like last week. So I get what's going on, Don. Don is like subtly trying to slide in, and it's going to be Andre, and Don is the host of the SDSU podcast. Okay. All right, Don, I see what you're doing.
Man.
What let me say this, like, what made you initially commit to San Diego State over some of the other offers you had?
It was kind of just the feeling of being in San Diego. Because I have family out here. That was one of the main things I was looking for, was being close to home, having family in the area, and just having that dynamic as part of what my future is going to be. So that was one of the main reasons, just how close to home it was, and the fact that I have family in San Diego. And then it was also, they have one of the best kinesiology programs in college. So that's what I wanted to major in. That's what I still want to major in, just because I love the human body. I love the way it works, and that's what I wanted to get into. Either physical therapy, strength coach, anything like that. That was the second reason. And two, I really did feel like I'm a true believer in God, and it really did feel like he was present when I was on the unofficial, and then when I was on the official, and just I really did feel at home. I felt relaxed. I was able to open up, be me, and just not feel any type of way about being there. And it felt like home from the beginning. And then even before I even got down there, I had that thought in the back of my head, like this is probably a spot.
Well, unless you are somehow not being yourself tonight, because it certainly sounds like you're doing that. You got one fan here in Jeff Johnson. He says, Cody is quite wise and well-spoken, a pleasure to listen to. Yeah, like I would hate to be Prince Williams and have to follow you. I mean, that's going to be that's going to be a challenge, man. I tell you what, man, but we really, really appreciate your time, man. Great job, brother. And congratulations on getting to this moment, and good things, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys' time. I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Absolutely.
Y'all have a good night.
Get a longer one a little bit later down the road.
Sounds good. Let me know.
All
right. Thank you, guys.
How y'all doing?
Hey, Prince, how's it going? I think you heard that part. How's your night going, man?
Yeah.
Big day, huh? How does it feel like? How does it feel to be officially an Aztec?
Man, it feels great. Honestly, I mean, like all the other folks have said, like it's a dream come true. I've been at like this football stuff or the sports stuff for like all my life, dang near. I was born into having two older brothers. One's 8 years older than me, the other one's 4. But I was basically born into the sports world. So my brothers was playing football, track, baseball. And so when I came in, since a young kid, I just started with track and football. But yeah, it's basically just a dream come true. I'm just trying to get to the point where I'm like obviously I'm just trying to be my best, but I'm just trying to showcase my talents to show God his grace and the talent that he's bestowed upon me. So yeah.
Great answer. We for everybody who is listening, the way it works here for us is we could see that Prince was in the waiting room about to come in. So I actually said that comment about following Cody for him. But, it's interesting because you had committed to the Aztecs and spoken very highly of Coach Hoke. And then he retires, new coaching staff coming in. What was it about this new staff, Coach Sumler, about being able to kind of keep that commitment and continuing to want to be an Aztec?
Yeah, so basically, I was kind of new to it all. Like they were new to me, I was new to them because my recruitment didn't start picking up until like mid-senior season. So I was all new to them, but it was definitely like a loss. I mean, losing Coach Hoke, he was a great guy. He showed interest from the beginning. He was very adamant about getting to know his players that he recruited. But there was like very little attachment, even though there was still that attachment because I was only being recruited for such a short time.
Got it.
But it's nice to get used to this new coaching staff. And obviously, I'm still happy that Coach Sumler, he was able to come back. That was one of my big things when he retired. So that's a great thing. And then two, basically taking that official visit, meeting Coach Lewis. He's a genuine guy, and he really cares about the athlete as a person, as a whole person. So it's still good. It's a great relationship, and I'm just happy and excited to play under Coach Lewis.
So tell us more about Coach Sumler. I mean, we had him on about an hour ago, but what is it about him that resonated with you so much, and that you want to, sit under him and as your coach?
Yeah, I mean, he's proven to be a great DB coach, sending multiple DBs to the league. So that plays a super big part in it, of course. That's the end goal, trying to get to the league. But as a person, when he first started communicating with me, obviously it happened to the head coach, but he strove to get to know me through like myself, like as a whole person, of course. And, he just showed like amazing interest, and like he's somebody that I would want to play under because of that, because he was so genuine with his outstretches of getting to know me and stuff like that. But yeah.
You're very versatile. You can play all over the secondary. You have played all three positions. You're listed as a DB on the signing day page. Where do you think you fit best in this new defense? And have you had any conversations with the staff about that?
Well, I feel like I fit best anywhere because from what I've heard, they now are trying to run a 4-2-5. So
Yeah.
that means 5 DBs on the field. So I'm fine with playing anywhere. At Oaks, we basically ran the same type of defense, throw a lot of DBs on the field. Let's go cover. But I feel like I most fit corner. I mean, that's what I did play all of high school. That's what I'm most comfortable with. But even through all of high school, I was open to, and like if I got the chance, I was excited to play, safety, rover. And because, even though I might not look the part, I like getting physical. So I like coming up, helping the run game. But yeah, I would feel like I most fit in corner position.
Got a question here, and Robbie's always trying to like dig up the dirt. You know what I mean? So what he wants to know, what Robbie wants to know is, did anyone try to come in at the end and maybe flip your commitment? Did you take any other visits? What was that as your recruiting picked up late?
So really, I didn't take any other visits, but it was kind of funny because the game that I did come out to for SDSU, they was playing Nevada, and that was a game they had lost. But before the game, the Nevada corner coach was texting me, trying to get me to go over there for an official and stuff like that. And then after the game, he was like, "Yeah, you see that?" But I was like, it wasn't really a problem with I seen like still the upside of the defense that game and how they were playing and like the emotion that they had playing, because they still did perform very well. It was a low score game, of course, but yeah. Other than that, no one tried to flip my commitment, and I didn't take any other visits.
I like it.
So we've got a question from Don DeMars. Just to let you know, Prince, Don is the photographer for the East Village Times. So you're gonna see him on the practice field at games. Your family's gonna want all those pictures. So get to know Don.
He's the guy.
But he has a question: which NFL DB do you feel your style of play best matches?
I've heard a lot of people say, I mean, Yeah, people have told me that like I play like not this isn't current, but I play like Richard Sherman. Now, I mean, I know that's a big like comparison, but like a lot of people have said that I play long, I play with like a confidence, but like I'm like Richard Sherman without the trash talk because on the field, I don't really. I mean, I don't really talk that much trash. I mean, if it needs to be done, it needs to be done. But I'm a pretty classy guy on the field. I just get my job done and I'm out of there. But skill wise, they say I play long. I have good eyes. That's what a lot of people have said. So yeah.
So
Thanks, Don,
as
for the
you're
question.
great, what as you're like, what is your path to like when will you be enrolling at San Diego State, and what are you thinking about from now until that time happens?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? My bad.
Absolutely. When are you going to be on campus, and between now and that time, what is it that you're focused on?
Okay, so I'm probably gonna be on campus, I think July, because I am a two-sport athlete. Oaks Christian has like a long record of going far in track and field, and my coach is very adamant about going to state this year. So that's gonna take probably till like June, like yeah. And then I don't graduate until the 5th, so that's what also they were talking about. Like I'm gonna have to come out there in July. But my focus is right now is really getting my speed up for because I know on the next level the pace of the game changes. So I'm really trying to adapt like speed wise. So this year I'm normally a 400 runner, but this year I'm trying to get into my 100, get my little short term speed up. And then that's also too what the coaches at Coach Summer want me to do. So I'm sticking with it.
So you said that you run track. What is your personal best in the 400?
So my personal best last year was a 49.57, but I didn't get to run in the beginning half of the year because I had a little my hamstring was messing with me a little bit during the beginning of the season, so I took a little while to heal. But towards the end of the season, I split 49 in the 4x4. Yeah.
Nice.
And two, we actually ended up winning CIF for the 4x4 as well.
Nice. Congratulations on that, man. That's huge.
Thank you.
Prince, last question for you. We've got a question here from Santino. It says, was staying in Southern California a fueling factor for you?
Honestly, not really. But it's cool to be still in SoCal because I don't have to go through those weather changes. People going to extreme heat, extreme cold. So it's cool as like weather wise, and like I still know places I can go. I know the state. Obviously I'm still close to family. I'm a little 2-hour drive away from back to LA where I live. But it wasn't a feeling factor, but it was definitely like a good factor that happened to come into play.
Right on. Great interview. I changed my mind. Your Cody was lucky you didn't go in front of him.
Man.
Prince, congrats again on signing today. We appreciate you taking the time. We look forward to seeing you out there next summer and see how the season goes.
Congrats on your decision, man. Congrats on signing.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, Paul, that was our 5 guests.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
That
was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Why didn't we get all 15? No, I'm kidding.
I tried. No.
A couple before we head out of here, I do want to talk about a couple guys that we didn't really talk about.
Okay.
Two guys that were Nevada commits, who flipped not a week ago or decommitted first and
Right.
then committed to San Diego State. There's Ryan Gaea, who's a defensive
Right.
end from
He's been,
Stockton,
right.
and Ben Scolari, who's a Nevada guy. You wrote about Scolari last week among
Mhm.
like your 17 different articles that you wrote in 5 days. Thank you again while I was out on business travel and not able to write. But what do you make
You edited
about?
every one of them.
I did, but those are quick edits on my phone. I didn't need a laptop. What do you make about those two guys? Leaving other Mountain West schools and coming to San Diego State once the new coaching staff was in place.
It's interesting. I'm not really sure what to think about it, to be honest with you. I think it's a really challenging idea when somebody is committed and then their coach leaves, right, for whatever reason. Obviously, I know more about Ben because of the article. And I honestly thought, like, if you were to go and say, okay, the Nevada coaching staff is going to be fired, and, they brought in a well-known guy to be their head coach. If there's one guy who's going to stay, right, it's Coach Alt's grandson. And so, like, the fact that, like, that guy of all of them was the guy who decommitted and left, I thought was really just like a little bit surprising. And I think it's a really good pickup for the Aztecs. And then for the defensive end, you had asked about that at the press conference, and Coach Lewis essentially said it's because we switched to the 4-2-5 that you could get defensive ends to be able to come into the program. And I think that I think San Diego State, if they are doing what they should be doing, they should be able to out recruit a lot of the other schools in the Mountain West. And so I think that it was a great opportunity that they had, especially given the fact that there was instability at SDSU's coaching position, that they were able to get them. But what is it about those two guys that intrigued you that you wanted to make sure you brought them up?
Well, I think because of the Nevada impact, guys that those are guys that were committed with the new coaching staff, right? They had, I believe, 9 guys that were pre-committed. So that means they had 6 new guys, and having 2 guys that were at Nevada and flipping and coming to San Diego State, I think that was why I wanted to bring them up. And I think both of them fit a position of need, and a position of need that maybe would not have existed under the old coaching staff, because the old coaching staff didn't really prioritize tall wide receivers that much. They didn't prioritize a defensive end because they only played in a 3-man front. So I thought those two were guys that are in positions where the talent level is not rich, and they could come in and wow and get on the field sooner than later. Maybe not first year, but by a second year.
So that's really interesting because personally, I think if I look at the guys that are coming back, I actually think edge could be a really solid position for the Aztecs. I think that if you go and you get a guy like Dom Oliver, I think he screams edge rusher. I think that, Trey White, if he drops down from linebacker, I think he screams edge rusher. I think if you look at Brady Nasser, I think he screams edge rusher. And so I think, and there's others. There's others. Ryan Henderson, I think screams like maybe both, depending on what they have. But, that would be a sizable edge rusher, but I think he has the explosiveness to do that. Garrett Fountain has not announced either way, but I think he's an edge rusher more than he was a defensive lineman in the 3-3-5. And so I think I think interestingly enough, I think the switch from 3-3-5 to, at that edge spot, I think is actually pretty solid. Now, interior line, I think that's a different question. I don't see the depth there. But and then as far as wide receiver is concerned, yeah, I think that they absolutely needed to bring in more guys. We were talking with multiple coaches who are outside of the program who came to visit San Diego State, and the comment that they tell us off the air, off the record, off of those kinds of things is, man, they don't have very many good players at wide receiver. I mean, that's the comment we've heard multiple times. And so being able to address that, I think it's needed. And I think more importantly, how excited these wide receivers and quarterbacks are to play in an Aztec offense, which is something that, it's always been, no, they're going to open it up more, or they're going to pass a little more. They're telling us. And I think that passion is there definitely from those guys.
I wanted to get to a question from Fernando really early,
Okay.
but we obviously got our guests in. With such a large class signed, what position to feel the Aztecs are still thin at? I think it's clearly offensive line, considering they lost 4 starters in the transfer portal. They've added one offensive lineman from high school, Kai Holek, who's massive, 6'8", 300 pounds, from Washington. That guy has a lot of potential. And then they added 2 transfers, one FCS, one FBS. But I think they still need some more there to go with the returning starters, Ross, Ulugalu, and you got a Miles Morale. Potentially Christian Jones can get back in the mix as well. But I think that's a position of need that they still should be looking at in the portal, because they need guys that can come in and play immediately. What do you think?
No, I think that's right. I think I would frame this a little bit different. I think there are legitimate D1 players at every position on the field. The question that I still have is are there game changers? Are there guys like, Michael Shawcroft at linebacker? He obviously with injuries didn't pursue the professional career, but that guy made plays outside of the script, made plays, and just was a playmaker. For as good as Des Malone was, you would have loved to seen a little bit more of that ball hawking and that playmaking ability. And so I think that, there's guys that you could say, okay, Christian Jones, I could like that guy as a left tackle, right? He's going to be more experienced. He's big. O'Boyle likes to have their offensive line coach, likes to coach, bigger guys. But is that guy somebody that you're just going to go and you're going to say, okay, Christian Jones is just going to kind of be, I don't know if this is the right phrase, but like just a black hole. Like anybody who comes around him, he's just going to take care of and be that kind of anchor for the offensive line. I don't know. You look and you see like Mekhi Shaw, and Mekhi Shaw is a very, very good receiver. Great kid, great human being. But is he a guy who's going to consistently be able to give you 6 catches a game and then do something, whether it's making a play after the catch, or it's, he's always getting first downs to move the chains, or he's scoring in the red zone, right? As that more possession guy. They're running backs. It's like, yeah, Jalen Armstead, great player. He obviously ended the season really well. Is that who he is the whole time? And then can he also add some of those big runs that, you just really need to really score a lot of points? The quarterbacks who came in, we obviously talked with Danny O'Neal tonight, AJ Duffy. I mean, these guys are so inexperienced, and it's like, okay, you feel comfortable with one of those guys, especially after the competition where one of those guys is going to be, again, a legit D1 player. But are they a playmaker? Are they like a guy that when it comes around for all conference, he's a no-brainer? Because I think when San Diego State has went from, being okay to being good, it was that. And I think, when people are trying to ask the question, how did all these guys who were on last year's team who are transferring and are now going to Power Fives, like, why wasn't San Diego State better? And one, you could point to the number of close games, but I think the other thing that you could point to is just that lack of playmaking ability, that lack of scoring that long touchdown because you broke 2 tackles and you made somebody miss in the hole and the defense was designed right, but you were just better. And so that, I would say, is how I would answer that question. Is I think, they definitely need depth all the way through. I don't know that they're too deep, has two guys who are legit D1s at each position, but I think it's a good idea. I'm looking for that. Who are their playmakers? Who are the guys that when the other team's defense is game planning, are they just game planning Sean Lewis's system? Or are they like, you know what, no matter what, we cannot allow who to beat us? Same thing with the defense. Who is that guy? Who's that guy who's going to make it's 3rd and 1. There's no reason why you should stop him for a loss, but you just make a play like Keyshawn Banks did for his entire career, where he had one wildly great play, a game, and now he's continuing on the Packers practice squad. So I think that's the big question is who's going to take that jump? Are we going to see a Josh Hunter take a big jump from being good, being competitive, being a great tackler, to actually being a legit playmaker? And I think that's what needs to unfold for Sean Lewis and the Aztecs to be able to, I think, really get going in his first year and not have to wait until more reinforcements are, coming in 2025.
A couple final questions here. Robbie says, do you guys know around how many open scholarships they have to work with after today? So they have 51 returning scholarship players on the spring roster currently. They signed 26 today. So my math says that's 77. And that allows 8 more scholarships that are still open. Now, there are 5 seniors that are eligible for COVID years that we haven't seen any public. They haven't been added to this roster on the website. So there's potential for those 5 guys. And then there's some more transfers that they've been linked to that weren't signed or announced today. So I think they've got 8 to work with technically, but I think those are more like 2 or 3 really if you factor in some of those guys that are potentially already back in the fold.
Nice. No, I like that. And I think Coach Lewis answered it and said that they're going to try to be right up to their limit. So when everybody returns, I believe it was January 16th, and they're all sitting in that room together, they got their full allotment and it's go time.
And then Rick asks, along with the interviews with the high school commits, are y'all planning to do a podcast with any of the incoming transfers? Yes, we just did one with AJ Duffy, the quarterback from Florida State, episode 111. Episode 111, which came out on Monday. So you can look for that one and watch that. And then we'll definitely try to get some of the transfers on. But the tricky part with once they come to campus and get on campus, we then have to go through San Diego State Media Relations to schedule these interviews. But we have a little period before they come on campus where we can go directly to them and schedule it. So time permitting, we'll hopefully get a couple of those guys on before that. But with the holiday season and things like that, we'll have to see what we can get in. But the semester doesn't start till January 16th, so it does give us some time in early January to schedule some of those. But we definitely want to. There's definitely guys on there we want to.
Yeah, the work continues. The work continues for sure. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. Let Aztec fans know that we're doing this. We're doing this because we believe that San Diego State, as a major Division I program, should have as much coverage as there is as possible. And so we work. I mean, I think that I'd like to think that the quality of our work, is high, but I definitely know the quantity is. And, this was not our only San Diego State related thing that we did today. And there's an article that you'll be seeing in the morning about this recruiting class that Andre's going to be putting out. Don's on here. I'm going to be editing and doing photos from today's press conference. I mean, there's so much. So please like, subscribe, share with people, get word out of what we do. Because ultimately, as you saw, like, what a great opportunity for Aztec Nation to get to know all of just the handful of guys that were here. And I think it should make cheering for them. I think it should make, I think it should make doing that, a little bit more fun because you know who they are. You've had the opportunity to interact with them.
Yep, we're excited. We're pumped for the start of spring too, Don, for sure. We'll need a roster handy because there'll be a lot of new players that we're not used to seeing. New coaches too. Although with a joke we were making before the press conference started is like, we'll know who the coaches are based on their hair or lack of hair and beard.
That's true.
structure.
That's true.
So,
we missed an opportunity to talk with Coach Sumler. It's like, hey man, is that kind of something that needs to be you need to shave the head and get that beard going. Good stuff, man.
All right. I appreciate all of you guys in the chat, listening, watching. Always appreciate Aztec Nation. And we had a good time talking to 4 of the newest players and Coach Sumler. And, we hope to put a lot more stuff out in the near future. So thanks, guys.